Hello and welcome. We're going to head over to Gregory Musgrove's workshop number 3 where he makes his custom guitars. So, cigar box guitars, that is. We're going to spend the next hour getting to know him, how he makes them, how he tunes them, and everything in between, so stick around.
You know, that's just simple little 12-chord progression of blues. So that's it. I mean, you know, they play well. You can play them with a slide. I said I don't have it.
There we go. Alright. Give us the grand tour here.
The grand tour. Hey, this is my workshop number 3. No reason. It's just because why not?
So there was number 1 and 2. This is the number 1. You just call it number 3.
Just call it number 3. Why not? It's a small little workshop, but it gets everything I need done. That table saw, it's a 1945 bandsaw. That was my father's bandsaw back in 1945, and I inherited that. So. I got lots of boxes.
I was gonna say I
got lots of boxes.
So how did you start with it? How did you start making guitars?
I inherited, like I said, the bandsaw from when my mom passed away, and then I also inherited a set of books called the Foxfire books. And in that first Foxfire book, there was a chapter on how to build a cigar box guitar, or I say cigar box guitar, how to build a banjo, a mountain banjo. So the first 2 guitars I made were banjos. I got one hanging up inside. But then I like playing the blues, so I started building cigar box guitars because banjo came out of ragtime, and in that same period was the cigar box guitars, because poor people didn't have any money, so they built their own guitars. The first cigar box guitar I've seen a picture of is a Civil War soldier that had one sitting in front of a tent playing it, and he actually had a bow, was playing it like a cello or something. He just played it like this. So that was how I got started, and I just started looking into blues and how that all came about, and how some of these people started doing slide guitar on cigar box guitars. So it's a very old instrument, very old in history, but you know, that's how I got started.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about your dad.
My dad?
Yeah, and how you started inheriting this from him.
Honestly, it was we had that in '45, but of course then he joined the Army, went into World War II. He didn't see any real battle or anything. He kind of arrived in the South Pacific late in the war. I think they had already surrendered, I think, by the time he got there. But then he came back and married my mom and had them, and then in 1961 he got cancer and died at the age of 42. So my mom raised 5 kids, and I had always liked it, always used it, had a lot of projects that I did whenever I was little, and you know, I told my mom, if anything happens, I'd like to have it. So when she passed away, then I inherited it. So that's how that all came about.
So that has special meaning to you then?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I had to do some modifications to it. I had to make it to where my dust collector could hook to it. They didn't think about dust collecting back then. It was just... So I got a dust collector, and it's outside on the wall there, and I got my filter system up here, so try to get that out of the air. This is history right here. This was my wife's grandfather's toolbox that he had back in the 40s. He worked for Lockheed out in California, and he was actually the jig man, and they built airplanes. So he had that out there. So he was a very interesting gentleman. Engineer all of his life and died at 95. So he's very interesting. These are a couple of the projects I'm working on. I'm going to turn this into a guitar. I found that. That's an old thing. It's actually got some. It actually still has some of the stuff like smelling salts. I mean, they don't put those in first aid kits anymore. But you know, it's got some stuff in it. But I'm going to turn that into a guitar. Here, I'm working on this one here too. Got that one. I'm going to make that into a little 3-string guitar, and I've already reinforced it a little bit. I got to reinforce these tin cans so that the neck can fit in. And then I got this punch that I'm doing. These are the 3 guitars I'm working on right now. Like I said, these are other necks. I got some maple necks, a walnut. These are all walnut here. Mm-hmm. So working on some. Got them in different stages. Here's a one that I've got to this point, which is this is what's going to go inside the box, and then I'll shape that neck. Finger bores. These are finger bores. They're all just all I do is cut that for the nut, and then I haven't cut any fret lines in it yet. They're all cut by hand. I hand cut everything, and then press them in. This is my press here that I use to press in the frets. See, this is oak here. It's a really nice wood. That's a cross grain cut oak. I had a special order, and they wanted oak, so I bought enough to where I could build a second neck. I try to do things in pairs. These are real pretty maple that I got. I'm going to build a couple guitars out of those. And then I've had this walnut with my wood over there. And that's how I do it. I just cut it like that. And once I get these done, then I'll glue them on. You know. And then a little 2-stringer. Make these little chuggers. No frets. This is how they probably would have done it back in the 1800s. They wouldn't have put frets on. They would have just put a couple strings, and the strings usually were out of a screen door or a broom, because they would have to tie the old brooms together, and they would use those to put on strings, and that would be their strings. And they would play it with a slide. And I don't know if I even have a slide out here, but they'd play it with an old glass bottle slide. I mean, you can see some of my failures over here. Some of them that just didn't sell. I just can't throw them away, I guess. I just put them back up there. So, well, they didn't feel like I liked them. So they were early on jobs that I started out with. This one here. This one here is a really pretty neck. Little one. But see how I got that dark thing right there? That made that neck bow. I don't know why. I don't know why it wasn't like that when I put it together, but it just aged and it just didn't. Yeah, that's why I like to. People ask how long it takes to build a guitar, but a lot of it is just letting it sit, letting it rest, letting the wood rest. Because sometimes you don't know what that neck's going to do until you put it together. You put it together, and something like that little grain that I didn't even know was in there until I put the oil on it, and I said, well, that's okay. Well. And then it just bowed just a little bit. It doesn't need very much. And then it becomes a wall hanging. These have been sitting for about 2 months like this. And then I put it together and probably leave it like this for another 30 days or so. And then I put it all together like this. And then I'll let that set for a couple weeks before I cut this down and start shaping it. So, just each time, it just takes a little bit of time. You don't want to rush it, because if you rush it, then you end up with. This is a real pretty neck I was working on. This one though, because of the kind of wood it is, I gotta route this out and put a truss rod in it, because it's too soft. But it's real pretty. I made one already, and it looks real pretty. And then you see all the electronics up here. That was my dad's. When he came back from the war, they called him Sparky. He was the radio man in the Army, and when he came back, he started a radio and TV repair shop, and that's what he did. And he did that for a number of years. So I inherited all that stuff up there. The old oscilloscopes and tube testers and stuff. So, and I guess maybe that's why I got into electronics too. So. Yeah. This is my first guitar I've ever owned. It's a 1966 Holiday. My mom bought that for me at Sears and Roebuck. And then I routed it out and put a clock in. It's not 3 o'clock. I just got to take it apart and put a battery in it and it'll start running again.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But yeah. And I get people that'll drop off stuff to me all the time. Boxes and stuff and some other boxes. This here, guy dropped that off to me. It's a real pretty box. I just haven't, I don't know, not really inclined into making a guitar out of a crematory box.
Yeah, I guess there is a certain
Maybe if I find the right person, maybe. I mean, it's not had anybody in it, okay? There's nobody's been in that. That was brand new. But he bought it over. He said, I got the perfect box for you. Okay. So I took it. But I've made them. There's cookie tins up there. I've done hubcaps. Like a lot of different kinds of lunch boxes. License plates. I got license plates. I got a pile of license plates over there that I did film canisters. Did a couple 35 millimeter film canisters and one 16 millimeter film canister. They sold pretty quick. Finished them and posted them, and they were sold the next day.
Wow. Is that like the more novelty type stuff? Is that what sells more?
Yeah, the things that are different that you just can't find everywhere, and that's where and things that have stories. People like stories. So you find something that has some history to it. It came from somebody. So people like to hear those stories. I built a tennis racket guitar. Of course, it was my mom's tennis racket whenever she was in college, and probably in the 40s. So you tell people the stories, and they like the stories. Where you find stuff, what kind of gas cans they are. I do gas cans sometimes. So it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, people like things that have a story to them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. People bring me stuff. Say, can you make a guitar out of this? I had a lady bring me. Her son was now 45. She was, I think, in her 60s. And he was an engineer out in California. And when she was going through her house, she found his old Erector set down in the basement. And then she brought it all to me and says, can you build a guitar out of this? I said, I think so. She goes, well, I got some extra parts, but can you try to keep that looking kind of like he left it? I said, I think I can do that. So I kind of reinforced it and had to buy some little screws to make sure everything was bolted together tight, and sent her a picture, and she said, well, how's this? She goes, oh, she loved it. So then I put a neck through it, put a pickup in it, and then and she carted it off to California and gave it to her son. So, things like that. I mean, that's something that nobody else has. It's his. They're unique. I've done a lot of license plates where people have had them for their business, and then they want me to make a guitar out of it. So they got a guitar with that license plate now. So, a lot of different stories,
And do people generally play them, or do they?
Well, a lot of them I build them to play. That's definite. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of them that are hanging on walls. I did it was an early 60s or late 50s Chevy valve cover into a guitar. And I sold that last weekend to a guy that has a 65 Vet with that motor in it, which it's not supposed to be in that. It didn't have a 283 in that motor. But he was going to take it to car shows, and he's going to put the guitar in the back so people can see the guitar. So he doesn't play. He said, I don't play. I said, okay. You know? So I know that there's some out there that are nothing but wall hangings, but I build them to play. And a lot of people do mine and do play them. See videos of people playing them.
Mm-hmm.
Had a friend that teaches banjo lessons, and had a little girl that was taking banjo lessons, and they were doing it online. That's how he was doing it. She was from another part of the state, and lesson came up, and she hadn't practiced any of her banjo yet. And he said, "Why?" And she showed him the guitar. It was one of mine. And he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, here, let's show you some things on it." So he started teaching her things on a cigar box, because he plays cigar box guitar too.
So that's a totally different realm of playing than what he was teaching? Is that what we're...
Well, he's teaching banjo to the cigar box. Both instruments are tuned to an open chord. So she was already halfway there, understanding that it was a chord. So, he just showed her some some little tricks and stuff.
Okay. So you used to just play it a little differently.
Yeah. Just a little bit. But the chords are some chords that are on banjos that are chords on the acoustic or on our three-string cigar box. But it just shows, license plates and how they can be turned into a guitar and have a story to it. Of course, that was not for sale, but I'll tell you why. Again, when my mom passed away, we went through all this stuff, and my brother got a bunch of license plates from she lived in my grandfather's house. So he got the license plate. He gave that to me last year. That's 1957. That's the year I was born. And that was on my grandfather's car back in 1957. So see, that's how I'm talking. You got history and you got a story behind it. There is no more like that. Very rare. The 57 West Virginia license plate. And then I turned it into a guitar. So that one I'm not ever going to sell. So, and then this is another one that's got a little bit of a story to it. The Lost City. Have you heard of that? That's a movie called The Lost City. Came out, was it 08? It says it was released in 2015. But when they made that movie, they were filming out of season and they didn't need tobacco. So they decided that they were going to plant the tobacco field, knowing that it was out of season. But they were able, when they got done filming and did it, they harvested it and turned it into cigars, and they made a limited edition of cigars called the Lost City. So, again, a box that you can't go get this box anymore. This is one of a kind box. I don't know how many they made, but it gives you all the information back here about it was by this company and all for the movie. It was made for the movie. So there's two guitars right there that are very typical of how they can have a story behind them. Again, this is all walnut. A little bit of maple accent there with a maple veneer here. Had to use the gold because West Virginia's blue and gold. Yeah, had to do the gold hardware on it. But there you go.
And you can hook up to an amplifier and everything, I see.
Yeah, these are all built like a solid body electric guitar. This is all solid all the way through the bottom. This is solid, and it's solid all the way to the bottom. See, it comes out the bottom. So this is solid wood. This one, it actually comes to a tail right here. It is solid inside, but I just didn't drill straight through and come out the back side. But yeah, you can plug it in.
Plug one in.
This is my little testing. As I'm building guitars, I have to, make sure electronics are working and that kind of stuff. So I just turn it down a little bit. See, that's a banjo chord right there. But you can just do this bar and it's like up and down the neck. these songs. We don't have rights for the songs.
Right. Appreciate that.
You know, that's just simple little 12 chord progression of blues. So that's it. I mean, you know, they play well. You can play them with a slide. I said I don't have a, you know, I do have a slide.
Now, does each one produce a different sound? Like
They
say,
do, a little
with it-
bit. A little bit. I mean, a lot of it's the pickup.
Now, what's this?
So, you know, it's the same thing. Here, we'll plug this other one in. And you can hear the difference. It's subtle. So, you know, it's a little subtle, maybe some higher tinny kind of sound maybe. But not a lot of difference, you know. So, you know,
And you have to tune them too, of course.
yeah, this is tuned. These are the 3 strings off of a guitar. That's the A, D, and the G string. But in order to make it a chord, you take the A and you tune it down to a G. So there you go. You're already a third of the way through a song. And then if you know, go up the scale: G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So there you go. There's your scale. So once you learn those, you can play in any key you want. A, B. Minors. So you see, you can play minors with it too. You're not stuck in just playing majors. So they're just a lot of fun. They're easy to play. I tell people, they say, "Oh, I can't play." I say, "You can play these." Biggest thing is you just gotta know the words to the song. You just sing along with it. You can find there's song books that'll tell you what you don't even have to know where at. You just tell you, go to the 5th one, go to the 7th one. And that's all it tells you. It doesn't tell you what chord to play. It just tells you where at to play with what you're playing. So they're there, and then there's people online that are teaching. A lot of lessons. I learned a lot of things off of YouTube on how to build them, and if you got worry about wiring, there's a lot of different wiring for the pickups. If you have multiple pickups with switches, it's all online. You can find out. It's not hard. I encourage people. I had one guy. He says, "I think I'm gonna build one." I said, "You should. They're a lot of fun." And then you got that reward of having something that you built and it's playing music. And there's nothing more rewarding. It really is. It's really nice. And then seeing other people play, that's fun.
When you built that first one, what was that like for you? Can you remember when did you build your first one?
When did I build the first one? I don't. I do remember the first one I ever sold. I had a friend that did leather work, and he said I could come out and just sit in where he was at, play some music for the people that were walking around. And there's a guy came in, and he really was interested, but he said he couldn't play anymore because he had broke his wrist, and he couldn't bend his wrist enough to play guitar anymore. So I showed him just what I was showing you, taking a slide and putting it on your finger, and since it's tuned to an open chord, he can just go up and down the neck like this. He's not having to finger it. So he sat there and played that a little bit, And he said, you know what? I'm going to take that. He says, I'm on my day. He says, I can play this. So it was real rewarding to see somebody that played guitar, but because you know, he had this impairment or whatever, he was not able to do it. And then he was going to take this guitar home and he was going to start playing it. So that was very rewarding. But that was the first one I ever sold. So that was real rewarding.
And
First
from
one?
there, it was that when you.
The first one I ever built was probably one of these up here that just I didn't like the feel of them after I probably this one because I had they were too skinny. This one was too skinny.
Right.
And I had the other people, what I'd do is I'd build something and then I would get some friends to play it. So what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And that's where he came back and he says, you know, that neck's too skinny. He says, I like to bend the strings. He says, because he didn't play slide as much. He says, I like to bend the strings. There's not enough neck there to slide it on. So then I went up to the next width. And that's where I come up with this width here. Because you can take this bottom one and bend it up and get almost a full step up, which is what they need, you know, when you're going to bend the strings. So that's where that came from. But yeah, you know, I learned little lessons here and there, playing them, built them, played them, pieces for people. But you know, they just can't get out. Festivals all stop everywhere. And so,
when did you start playing the guitar? Like you said, that was your first one.
yeah, that was my first one, 60s, 66, well, probably somewhere in the late 60s, 68 or 69 probably.
Yeah.
It was just dated 66 on the inside. That's when the guitar was made. And then probably about in the about 74, 75, then I started playing and working with some bands and starting to do that, starting to run sound and playing in bands. And then I went to college in 80. It would have been 83 through 82 through 84. And played in bands, put myself through college. I was married, had a young kid, got a 2-year degree in electronics, and got a job and got out of the bands. That was the old life. It paid for my college. It got me through college. But, you know, that was it. But it was funny, you were talking. I just happened to be going through some old paperwork, and I found in high school in 75 where it was an assessment of what did you want to do in life? What did you want to do? And the number one thing came out that I wanted to be an instrument repairman. At the time I was into music. I majored in music at WVU and then over at Fairmont State. And then, but I always wanted to repair them. That was kind of my life. You know, when you're going into college like WVU, and you got these people that are way up here in their talent, way up here. And they're playing out and they're doing their thing. And I was never way up here. I was middle ways. But that would have put me as being a school teacher, learning how to teach band. And there's only so many band positions out there. That's it. So I decided pretty quick that I didn't want to be a band director. So I got out of the music and got into electronics. So that's my history there now of school and how I kind of got into it. But I've always been one to repair stuff. I repaired violins, I repaired guitars all these years, working on them. Little things here and there. No major, completely rework jobs, you know, that kind of stuff. But you know, got into this, and it's just so rewarding. It's just so rewarding.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun, and you know, it's paid to get a lot of my tools. You know, I started out. All I had was the bandsaw. That's all I had. I had a bandsaw, and I had a belt, hand belt sander. that I bolted to this so I could have the belt running up on top, and I could work on it. I started with that. Those are the two things I had. I just built guitars that way, and then I slowly started adding different parts. The table saw I got from a friend. It was out in a barn. That was a barn find. So, you know, it was seized up when I got it, but I was able to rework it and got it going. So, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So you play, you got to do, you know, the construction of it, the building, the electronics, the playing, the tuning. That's not leaving out.
I don't know. The marketing, maybe. I don't know. But like I said, the marketing, I like to go to festivals. I have friends with, you know, a lot of people that build these, and they do them online. They sell them online, or they sell them to music stores, things like that. And that, I don't know, that takes that personal touch out of it for me. I like to go to festivals. I like to talk to people, tell them about the history of the instrument and how much fun they are, and I show them what they can do and stuff. And you know, and some people buy them to play them, and other people buy them to hang them on the wall. Well, you know, just doing little bits here and there. Like I said, it's kind of slow right now. This was an interesting one. Remember I told you I built a tennis racket? Well, this was a tennis racket press. See, it says Wilson. And it came across and came up like this, and then across and back down. It was the press for my mom's. So I cut that off, and I'm going to use that somewhere. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to repurpose it. And sometimes that's what you do. You know, you just repurpose things. Mm-hmm. You know, it just wasn't selling. People looked at it and they didn't like it or whatever. Or some of them didn't know what it even was. You know, so I decided I just repurpose it. I just haven't got around to that. I got another. Anytime I do a 6-string, I usually buy the neck, because that's a lot of people. They want a 6-string. They want it to be have the arched top like a regular guitar. All the ones that, you know, you can't really see them, but they actually have a little bit of an arch to them. Mine are all flat. That's another one of those things that takes a lot more time and would put a lot more money into the instrument that people just wouldn't understand why. Because with only 3 strings, you really don't need it. Same way with like truss rods. You get up to a 6-string, it's got to have a truss rod in it. These don't have to have truss rods. You know, like I said, I'm going to put one in this one, but because there's only 3 strings, there's not enough tension on the neck. If you tried to do that with this, it would end up bowing the neck 6 strings, that no truss rod. It'd be 10 or 15 or something like that. No, she came home with 100 of them. Got a whole case of them down there. It's like, but they work out real good for these little 2-string, they call them chuggers, because a 2-string is like a train track, so they call it a chugger, and usually you use a smaller box for those. Let's see here. Let's see if I'll show you a couple more here. All right, come on. I got this for my granddaughter. I was going to do this one for my granddaughter, but she didn't know who Lucy was. You know, so that kind of ruined that.
Oh man.
You know? Lucy. And then there's this one. I'm working on this one. This is another one I'm going to be doing. Probably one of these next is going to go in it. But it's an old Hot Wheels thing. I've reinforced it. Came in here, put a box inside. And then I'll cut that out and put one of these necks through there. Actually come out this way. So that's another one of those projects. But these other ones, you know, they're the littler boxes are for the chuggers. And like this one here, this one up here, these are little ones. So that's what would go in those. And they're, you know, since there's no frets and there's no you know, it's just very simple. It doesn't have a bridge. It just has a simple bridge on it. Um, those are easier to sell. They're cheaper, but you know, they're harder to play because there's no frets. People play guitar. They want to see frets. You give them a fretless one, and they know what to do.
Now, what does the fret do differently?
Well, when you push down the length of the string is what makes the note. Okay. So like this is note, and then when you push this down, now this one's making the note. You push it down, this one's making the note. So every time you go up, it's getting higher in pitch. Okay. And there is a formula for this scale you see here. These are all 24-inch scales. You can make them 25, you can make them 34. Bass guitars are usually 34 scale, which then makes the first one this wide. But there is a formula, and it's something like times 18 or something like that. But there's a formula for it. But I have templates that I just lay out and mark them. They're already pre-done. Why do the calculation all over again?
Someone's already done it for you.
Already done it.
It's
Yep.
already done.
And I've got all the different scales from 18 all the way up to 25 and a half. So I can make any scale people like. A lot of people, will ask me why 24. Standard guitar neck is 25 and a half, somewhere in there. Gibson has their special one and things like that. But these 25, I found that a guitar player picks this guitar up and he doesn't notice that the scale is shorter because it's close to what he's used to. To where if I built a 20-inch scale, and I do have some at 20-inch scale, the people that play like a ukulele, because it would be considered a tenor ukulele, they can finger it better because it's in their scale. So I do the 24. I like the 24. It fits the boxes better. See, 25, if I put 25 on there, that put that bridge way down here. So another inch and a half here. So that's why I use a 24.
Difference now. You said some people do a single. What's the difference between the single and the double?
The single coil is just like I said. It's just one of these. They're a little brighter sounding, but there's a problem with single coils because they end up picking up fluorescent tube lighting. They pick up electronics, things like that, because they just do. And a guy back working for Gibson came out with what's called the humbucker. And they just take a single coil and a single coil, but the one on bottom is turned over. So they eliminate that that the fields offset each other, and the hum's eliminated. There's no hum. Single coils, generally, what you got to do is you got to open it up and you got to spray paint the inside of the box with metallic paint, and then ground the inside of the box. So that way, all that is protected to keep the electronic signals and stuff from coming into this pickup. So some people like it. It's okay, it's what they want. I myself like the humbucker. It gives a little bit more grit, a little more bite, and you don't have any problem with any kind of hum going on with them at all. I know they call them a humbucker, but humbucker, it breaks it, it stops it. So that's it. And then there's some really expensive pickup out there, and I tell people I'll be glad to put any pickup you want in there. But again, my job is to try to make them affordable.
Now, how much does it cost, for that? How much do you put into that, cost-wise?
Oh, I'd rather not say.
Okay, that's fine.
But I got probably about 10 hours labor into it. So, and then, like I said, there's a lot of times so things are just sitting around. I glue stuff, and then it's got to sit, and then the price of the box and all, and so they usually come out somewhere between $275 and $350, somewhere around in there. It just depends on the box, I mean, if I got to buy something like this, it costs like $45. That drives the price up. For a gas can, that might run me $30. But most of this stuff I get, people drop them off to me. They just keep dropping them off, and then license plates. I got license plates. I got a lunchbox over there that I'm going to turn into a guitar. See it back here? It's a black one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, an old lunchbox.
Old timey lunchbox.
Yeah, I built one like that, and then and sold it. I have that one. Here, you like this one here. See this box right here? I'm gonna turn this one into a guitar.
Wheaties box.
Yeah. You recognize that?
Oh yeah.
Joey Cheek. Yeah. So I'm gonna turn that into a guitar. I got to just build a wooden box to slide in there. Once I get put it all together, I'll just slide it in there and cut a hole for the pickup. But I'm gonna do that. I said, there's a lunchbox. There's a bed warmer over there that I'm gonna turn into a guitar. The old style bed warmers. You put ashes in or coals in. Had a guy drop off a bunch of these boxes. Them are old. I do like a historic series every once in a while.
Yeah.
To where I'll use a rough cut wood and try to make it more like it's older, but still make it playable. I had one somewhere. Where did I do that other one? I had one, and I had redone it and finished it because you can see how rough they are, and they need to be sealed up, and they're really dry. So I don't know what I did with it. I started playing it, and there's a lot of blues players that had started on it. B.B. King started on one. But that's what they did. You'd take a 3-year-old, you wouldn't give them a guitar. You'd build something, put a string on it. All right, go for it. And then if they showed some talent, then they'd, of course, progress up and get other stuff. So a lot of young people. There's a guy from Winston-Salem. And I wish I could remember his name, but he started on a cigar box guitar many years ago.
Do your grandkids, do they have any interest in playing?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm building one of these for Aria, and
That's right.
I built a Millennium Falcon in there for one of the grandkids. It's a little one about this big.
I remember the Millennium Falcon, yeah.
Yep, now that's the big Millennium Falcon. I found a little $5 one over at the $5 below store, and built him a little guitar out of it. He calls it his Banjo. It's made with one of these little sticks like this. It's a small one, but that's his guitar. They come over and they perform out on the porch. They all got their instruments and stuff. So yeah, and we'll see. I mean, they're still young.
Well, that's cool. They get together and do that.
They do. They got to practice. Had one of the little girls. They were going to get up here and perform. She came down and told my wife. She says, after the show, I'll give you my autograph. It's like, okay. she was playing it up, man. She's like, okay, after the show. But yeah, she's cute.
That's awesome.
Isn't it? So, who knows? Someday maybe people will be after her autograph. I don't know. But maybe play one of my guitars.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in particular you like to play on these?
I kind of gravitate towards blues, but I try to play a wide variety. When I'm sitting at my booth, people are walking by and they'll say, "Oh, does it play?" And I say, "Well, yeah." I said, "What kind of music do you like?" And they'll say, country or rock and blues. As long as they don't tell me anything like opera or or hip hop, I can't really do rap. I mean, I don't know if my mind just doesn't go that fast or what. I don't know, but and I'll play a song that's in there. I got a show tune I'll do, or country. I got a couple country and some folk songs. Arlo Guthrie. Just to pull something out, just to show people. Here's some of the songs you can do. There's some You can play any song, any style you want on them.
There's your marketing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just saying you can play anything, and I show them, and that's why I said I like that. I've had people say, hey, you could set it up here. We'll see what we can do and stuff. And I say, unless somebody explains to them, they're not going to understand what it's tuned to, what it is. I guess I could write up a big long thing. You'd have to have a tuner and an amplifier there so people could try them. Music store might work, but they generally want real guitars, Fenders, Gibsons, and all that other stuff. So, but that's what I try to do that. But if it's just me and I'm just sitting around, I'm usually playing blues. I was working up last night, me and Bobby McGee. Just why not? It's an easy tune. It's only 3 chords, and it's what is it? Miller. What's his first name? Anyhow, he wrote it, and then of course Janis Joplin made it famous.
Yeah.
So me and Bobby McGee, but it's an easy song. Or Leroy Brown, Bad Leroy Brown. It's another one. I just throw it out there, and usually I don't get through the whole song. Only because people are not going to just sit there and listen to me play for 3 or 4 minutes. So I'll just play a song so they can get the idea of what the song is, and what they can do with the instrument. So generally I might get through 1 verse, but that's just okay. There you go, and then maybe play another verse of something else. Just giving them an idea what can the guitar do. Or like West Virginia, do Almost Heaven, Country Roads, John Denver. So just a little bit of everything.
Here.
Originally,
Yeah.
I'm from West Virginia.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because you said you're the guitar behind
I
you.
grew up in West Virginia. We moved out of West Virginia in '85, and moved to actually outside of New York City, over in New Jersey.
Where in New Jersey?
It was called Raritan,
Raritan.
Somerset County,
I grew-
Somerville.
I grew up in Clifton.
Then coming from West Virginia, it was quite a culture shock.
It was.
I tell people, I said, it's like the Beverly Hillbillies, but with no money. It's like, yeah, but it was fun. I mean, it was good. And then we moved down here in '90 and been down here ever since.
What brought you here?
Work. The company I worked for came down here. So, came down, started an office down here, and been down here ever since. Been working for the company 37 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been a good job. It pays the bills. This doesn't pay the bills. It pays me to keep all this stuff going.
That's cool.
Yeah, I meet a lot of people from up north coming down here.
Do they?
Yeah, I've met a lot of people. It's just
Anybody move? A lot of people move down here?
I met a lot of people. Yeah. And I got a lot of people from West Virginia moved down here. They like coming down, and they get about this far and they go, this is hot enough. You go a little bit further and then you don't like it.
Right.
So North Carolina seems to be a nice area. We like it here. We like it right here in Greensboro.
Happy medium.
Yeah. Yep. If I want snow, I can drive 3 hours and be in West Virginia. If I want to be at the beach, I can drive 3 hours and be at the beach.
Right.
I can get all the seasons. Huh? I thought this piece of wood here would make it look. I didn't know how that was going to look, but that gave it a nice accent. There's a story behind this, but I don't know exactly what the story is because I didn't talk to anybody. But it's a banjo. I need to get a new head for it. I got the head inside and I got all the pieces for it. But if you look right here, whoever played this thing wore clear through the fingerboard down into the neck. Wore the frets all the way down. They're supposed to be up above that. These are wore all the way down. Somebody played that until it just would not play any longer. Who knows? Maybe it was playing. I don't know. But that's another one of those projects that I got that I need to finish up and just actually put it back together again. Again, probably just going to be a wall hanging because I really don't want to replace that
I guess these are
fretboard.
supposed to hook onto this right here, right?
Yeah, those come up and hook onto it like that. And then, of course, the head would be through here and have a little lip underneath of it, so it would pull that down tight. And then, you know, tune it all the way around. But I just bought it because I saw that up there, and I said, "Oh my gosh! I mean, your fingernails are digging into that for years." And that's an instrument that it didn't hang on the wall. Somebody played that.
About how old do you think that thing is?
You know, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Real work of art, though.
Yeah, it's got, you can smell it. It's got a musty smell to it. I would have to bet it's probably back in the 40s. I mean, there's no name on it. I've looked and looked. There's no name. There's no label. There's nothing but fluorescent LED bulb in it. But they're fully adjustable. Still got the Fresnels in them. I had them hanging up inside for a little while because I was doing some video stuff there, but I wasn't doing it enough. So, but that's our stage. Set up out here. See, there's his bounce. What do they call them? Bounce things. Shine a light on it. It bounces the light on to people. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, like the door.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just there.
It's believable.
Well, usually people got to get clear up here before they realize that they see the wall behind the screen. I don't think that door opens. The Motorola sign came off of my dad's business back in the 50s. That was on the side of his business.
That's cool. Not the Wrangler jeans?
Yeah. Yep. A friend of mine brought that over. He knew somebody that worked for Wrangler and ended up with that. We were trying to work out a deal to make a guitar that would look like that. But when he brought that, I said, you know that's not wood. That's foam.
Oh, really? It looks like wood.
Yeah, it's just foam.
That's cool.
Yeah. I said, well, I could probably, make one and have that carved into it and all.